You're never getting bullying out of the RCMP, especially when your top dog is the biggest bully of all. Clinton Jaws, guys. Clinton Jaws. There's a website out there. It's called clintonjaws.com. Go to it. Okay, this is what we're going to talk about today. And for people who have never tuned in before, and all of a sudden this is your first time you're tuning in, I want to let you know how it goes, okay? Because I don't want you sitting there and going, get to the point. Get to the point where you just get to the point, Clint. This is how I do episodes. I say a couple things about my life, and then I get to the point. And then after that, I take calls from viewers. And that's what we're going to do today. Okay? If you want, you could always fast forward. Because you've seen the title. And that's probably why you've tuned in. But I don't do it that way. I'm going to be editing every now and then because I cough. I still got the vid in my system. Well, I am not testing positive for it, but it's still there. It's hanging on. It's hanging on. And, isn't it something? Trudeau says he's got it 3 times. He got it 3 times. Not one symptom. Incredible. The guy's a superhero, ain't he? When I got the vid, I phoned my brother to tell him the news. He couldn't stop laughing. I'm like, are you okay? You got I'm like, really? Is it that funny? Why is that funny that I got it? Kind of sick. But he was really happy for me. And the woman, she was upset that I wasn't suffering enough. Strange. What's really strange is how it hangs on. Kind of hangs on. It's in here. And constantly coughing. I always clear the throat anyways, but constantly coughing. I'll stop talking about it. Guys, officially tomorrow, I'm declaring it summer. Tomorrow's going to be the real first day of summer. A part of me can't wait. Oh, and also, people interrupt me like my kids. Bet she wants a ride home. Okay? Dad, can I have it? Please, Dad, pick me up. Hello?
Hi, Dad.
Hey.
What?
Hi.
Hi, can you pick me up?
No, you live 2 blocks away.
Dad.
No, I know. Please, Dad, please, no. No.
Dad, I lost my jacket and I need help.
It's 20 Celsius. Why would I help you with your jacket?
No, I lost my jacket.
I'm in the middle of a podcast, little man. Okay? 2 blocks. 2 blocks away. What?
Are you mad?
No, I'm not mad. I'm doing a podcast.
Well, can you just pick me up, please?
No.
Dad.
No.
Oh my God.
I know, eh?
I don't get it.
Okay, I'll talk to you later. Do your papers. Bye-bye. It's tough babysitting. It's a hard job babysitting. All they do is make you feel bad. Like, I feel bad. He literally lived. It's a 3-minute walk, guys. It's like 2 blocks away. And I'm to blame because sometimes I pick him up. Once I picked him up, he was 30 seconds away from the house. I can see the school from our house. That's how close it is. Summer. It's summer. Tomorrow is summer. Tomorrow's summer. Summer. Tomorrow is summer, guys. And a part of me is really looking forward to it. Because that means we move out to the lake. We got a little small place out the lake. But it also means that we have to meet up with our neighbors that hate our guts. Here's our place. The people right here hate us. The people right here hate us. The people down there hate us. The people over there hate us. Last year, the cops came to our property. We wanted to turn a forest into lawn. But first, we had to cut down a tree. And this cutting down of this tree grouped about 8 people together in the area, surrounding area, called the cops, and all hell broke loose. One girl told me I was effed. I'm in big trouble.
He's already flipped. No, you're gonna fucking pay for this, buddy.
Another lady said, Clint, you do not have permission to cut down those trees.
Clint, you didn't get permission to do this.
But I did. I had all the permission in the world. Already approved. But I'm going to tell you something. You know what feels good about when a police officer retires? Is you're not really held to that higher standard anymore that you had to try and maintain. When I was a cop and people would drive by me and give me one of these because I did something wrong on the road, I would just have to smile and wave. I could never, back because I was a police officer, even on my day off. But now that I'm retired, I don't have to follow that rule anymore. When somebody tells me where to go,
take your piece of shit trailer and get the fuck out of my neighborhood.
I could tell them what they can go do to themselves.
Go fuck yourself, Eddie.
And a part of that makes me feel good. It makes me feel good that I'm able to do that. And 1 year ago, I did that. And I videotaped the whole thing. And maybe one day I'll show you the videotape. But a couple people will get fired if I did, I know it. But who cares? It feels good not to be held to a higher standard anymore, but it also feels good. But it also feels good to be held to that higher standard, which I kind of miss. I know I brought myself down to their level. I wanted to. I wanted to bring myself down to their level. For so many years, you guys have no idea how much I wanted to fight back, stick up for myself. And tell them how I really feel. And tell them where to go. So that felt good, but the police officer that showed up that day, he thought I was a wingnut. He was like, "You're an ex-cop? Ex-cops don't talk like that." And I was trying to explain to him, but I finally can. I get to finally do it. And when you retire, you're going to want to too. So when he showed up, and he was like, "Who the hell is this guy?" Because I lost my mind. Not on the cop. Me and the police officer got in an argument. It was a Port Alberni police officer, and to this day I feel bad. I feel bad because I told the crowd. The police officer's over in the corner talking to somebody, and I told the crowd, it's just me and the crowd that hates me. And I said, guys, the cop ain't going to do nothing. He's got no authority.
Yeah, shut him down.
I can call
The RCMP is not going to shut me down.
Oh, because you're an ex-RCMP?
Yeah, he knows that he's not going to shut me down. He's got no authority to shut me down. I got permission. It's the park.
No.
The cop heard me say that, but I wasn't trying to hide behind that. And then afterward, he comes up to me and goes, "Did you tell them that I have no authority?" And I'm like, "No, I didn't say that." Well, I did after I rewound the voicemail, my video. I did say that. But I didn't say it meaning it was a bad thing. I was just saying the truth. The cop has no authority. Do you understand how many calls I've went to that are civil? For example, a property line. The neighbor didn't like the other neighbor's property line. And I would tell them, I got no authority to change the property line. This is not a police issue. I got no authority. And that's all I meant when I said that to the police officer. And then later on in that year, somebody followed my kid home. My kid was driving a golf cart around, followed him home into the property, and started calling my kids a-holes. And I just lost it. It was a rough year. And I said some real bad things to her after she called them a-holes. And I don't think I'm going to play any of that. So yeah, we got to go back there. And we'll see what kind of year it is. It's going to be one of the guys. He doesn't even belong to the property. He's way over there. He was out walking his dog one day. Okay, huge German Shepherd. I got a little tiny baby dog. We got a toy shepherd. It's a toy. It's called a toy shepherd. He's 1,000 feet away. Going in the other distance, my dog is by me, starts barking. He's mad because my dog is not on a leash. I'm on my property. He's irate. So he starts swearing at me. I start swearing at him. He wants to fight me. Come on! Like literally wants to fight me. Like we're back in grade 12. Get over here! I'll take you on! And so he was part of the mob too. He was drunker than a skunk when he called the police that night, saying that I didn't have any authorization to log a tree on my property. This property has nothing to do with him. And unfortunately, he's still out there with his nutty girlfriend. Why'd I share that with you when it took me a year to share that with you. And I always said to myself I wasn't going to. But why not? It's kind of interesting. I guess my story, this is my thing. It felt good to stick up to them because I was no longer a police officer. I was finally able to do this to them. But in a weird way, it also didn't feel good. I didn't react to it well. I did bring myself down to their standard, and that didn't feel all that good. I don't take it back. But there is something for being held to a higher standard. That is something. I would rather be held to a higher standard, I guess. But every now and then, in a weird way, it feels good to lose your mind. I'm going to get to Lucki in a second, but what I'm about to say kind of goes into what I'm eventually going to say. And I know everybody's talked about it, but they haven't raised the points that I'm thinking in my head. Trudeau goes on a podcast in America talking about guns to Americans. Right away it blows my mind. He won't go on a podcast in Canada, but when he goes to America, he goes on a podcast and they interview him for over an hour. I'm not going to show you the entire hour, but this is what he says on the podcast.
Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau, welcome to Los Angeles.
Thanks. It's great to be here.
You're here to pitch a show to HBO Max. Is that right? How's it going?
Yeah, no.
I'm sorry, I can't help it. I can't help it. Sounds like my brother after I told him I had COVID.
So, two-part question. Does the lack of gun control in the U.S. make your job harder? Is it a security threat to Canadians because weapons are getting trafficked across the border? And two, I mean, obviously the U.S. and Canada, we have very different political systems. We have a different constitution. But any lessons that you might have for demoralized Americans about how to actually get something done?
You know, a couple of things. First of all, over the past couple of weeks, including on your show last week, there's a sense that Canada responded to the shooting in Texas by suddenly turning around and banning guns. But lovely if it were true, but we've been working on this for 7 years.
Yeah, 7 years. Hey guys, we've been working on this for 7 years. I can't stand the guy. I can't stand it. I can't stand I have to imitate him. I have to make fun of him. It makes me feel better. But that's not true. Yes, it is true. He's been working on it for 7 years. When things happen in the news, in mostly America, this guy responds. Yeah, he's working on it for 7 years. Of course he was. But the moment that happened in America, that school shooting, that's when he pushed it through. His idea. No more guns in Canada. And that's what he tried to do with the mass shooting in Canada, which I'll get to later. He uses what happens in the news to push his agenda. But he wants you to think that what happened in America had nothing to do with my decision. It's not true. I just wanted to bring that up.
Since we got elected 7 years ago, we've been steadily working on strengthening gun control to a conservative party that is pushing back on us for everything we do. So it's just
because everything you do is stupid.
We've been able to actually advance. And 2 years ago, we banned all military-style assault weapons. So
military-style assault weapons. He doesn't even know what he's talking about. What's a military-style assault weapon? I'm not going to get into it. It's so stupid. Is that what you banned?
And just a few weeks ago, and we've been preparing this legislation for months, we moved forward on a total freeze on handguns. So when this legislation passes, and it will pass, I mean, the Conservatives are pushing back hard. They filibustered to prevent us from, used methods to prevent us from debating it last week as we were supposed to. But we have the votes. We will eventually get it passed, hopefully sooner rather than later. And then it'll be illegal to buy, sell, transfer, import handguns anywhere in the country. We're basically freezing the market, and that will make a big difference.
And punishing the good person. Freezing the market and punishing the good person who owns the guns. I can't buy a handgun? Shouldn't I be the one who has a handgun? He's saying I can't buy a handgun. I'm not going to be able to buy a handgun. The problem isn't the good people. The problem is the bad people. Do you understand how much power he has just given a bad person who owns a gun? Wow, he owns something rare. He owns a gun. That gun is now 10 more times powerful. It's gold. Less good people have guns. More bad people have guns. You take the guns out of the hands of good people, there's going to be that many victims. He's not taking guns away from bad people. He's taking guns away from good people. It's senseless. How does that make Canada safer? It doesn't make Canada safer. I feel unsafe. I feel unsafe. The bad guy now knows that less good people that they want to hurt and rob have a bigger chance of not having a weapon. A lot of these guns are coming in, they're getting smuggled in through America. What's he doing to stop that? No. He wants to punish the good gun owners. Why would you take a gun away from somebody like me? You take guns away from bad people, not good people. You take guns away from bad people and crazy people. That's who you take guns away from. All crimes involving guns are done by bad guys. They're not done by good people. Just wait. He says a lot more dumber things than that.
There are debates, and we have a culture where the difference is guns can be used for hunting or for sport shooting in Canada, and there's lots of gun owners, and they're mostly law-respecting and law-abiding.
Most of them are. All of them are. All of them are. All gun owners are. It's not easy getting a gun in Canada. You got to go through some things. You don't take the guns away from those people. And if they're reasonable and they're good gun owners, why are you punishing them?
But you can't use a gun for self-protection in Canada. That's not a right that you have in the Constitution or anywhere else. If you try and buy a gun and say it's for self-protection, no, you don't get that. You get it for hunting. You can get it for sport shooting. You can take it to the range, no problem, as long as you go through our rigorous background checks. But there's a difference around the culture. And one of the things that we're seeing with the debate in the States is you get more and more of the American-style, right to carry, self-defense arguments filtering up through the usual more right-wing communications channels.
Yeah. Just want to flag that the Prime Minister is aware.
You hear these guys? You're doing the podcast? Yeah. Okay. Uh-huh. Who are these guys? Oh, yeah. Uh-huh. Okay. He just said so much there. They don't even say anything. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Uh-huh. Oh, yeah. Good interview, guys. But did you hear what Trudeau said there?
Guns can be used for hunting or for sport shooting in Canada, and there's lots of gun owners, and they're mostly law-respecting and law-abiding. But you can't use a gun for self-protection in Canada. That's not a right that you have in the Constitution or anywhere else. If you try and buy a gun and say it's for self-protection, no, you don't get that.
You can't use a gun for self-protection? Oh, is that right? Really? So what do you mean by that? He uses a gun for self-protection. Do you know how many guns he has for self-protection? Tons of guns for self-protection. But he wants to take the guns away from you. He gets to keep them. If he really wants to do this to Canadians, then he should start with himself. Start with his security. His police officer. He has hired police officers. Do you understand how many guns he has? Not only that, he doesn't even have to use them. He hires somebody that you pay for to use his guns. Sharpshooters. Not only is he allowed to have guns, he's allowed to hire people that are experts in using guns. Sharpshooters. Now, do you not see a problem with that? He's saying how terrible guns are. You're not allowed to have them for self-protection. But every day of his life, every minute of his life, he is self-protected by guns. The guy's a complete crackerjack. He likes guns. He believes in guns. He just doesn't want anybody else to have them but himself.
But you can't use a gun for self-protection in Canada. That's not a right that you have.
Idiotic. You can't use a gun for self-protection. What are you talking about? Somebody breaks into my house, they're raping my kids. Okay? I can't use a gun? Do you think I'm going to go to jail if I use a gun and shoot them in the head? Really? Do you think that happens in Canada? That doesn't happen in Canada. I've been to calls where people had to use guns in self-defense. Do you think they were convicted? But you know what he wants you to do? This is senseless. He wants the rape to just... Does he really expect people that own guns in a house, somebody breaks in, stabbing everybody, somebody breaks in, stabbing your family to death, you cannot use a gun for self-protection. You're full of it. You're completely full of it. It's a lie. I'll give you another example because this is just complete stupidity. A guy breaks into my house. He points a gun at me. We get into a fight, hands-on fight. He's going to kill me. He's saying I can't take the bad guy's gun and shoot bad guy. That's not my right, he says. And who cares if it isn't? That's not the point. I don't care if I go to jail. That's not what we're talking about here. I'm not going to be thinking, hey, I can't use my gun. The kid, he's doing this to my children. He's killing my family. I'm not going to think, oh, I can't use a gun because I might go to jail. I don't care if I go to jail. I want my family to survive. You idiot. That's like saying you can't... If I had a bow and arrow on the wall, Trudeau's saying, you cannot use that bow and arrow. Okay, that's for hunting. I'm going to use anything I want to use to protect my family, obviously. Hunting knife is used for hunting. Are you saying that somebody comes in to kill my family, I'm not allowed to knife them with a hunting knife because it's only used for hunting? This is how stupid this guy is. Everything he says is idiotic, but yet he has 24-hour protection. The interviewers don't even talk about that. He's protected by guns with sharpshooters. A complete crock. That's a complete crock. It's a complete crock. It's amazing. It's amazing when you listen to this guy talk. Literally. You have somebody break into your home, and he wants you to... Bad guy has a gun, breaks into your home. You wrestle the gun away from him, and he wants you to know that you're not allowed to pull the trigger to save your life, of you and your family. That's what he's telling you. Am I wrong? That's exactly what he's telling you. This is who runs Canada, guys. The bow and arrow stay on the wall. The knives stay in the drawer. Because that's not what they're meant for. Google it now. Google Canadian man goes to jail because somebody busted into his house, tried to kill him, but the owner killed him first. Google that and see if that guy went to jail. You're not going to find it. Even if you do, even if you find one instance, who cares? It's not the point. Yes, Canadians have guns for hunting and target shooting and practice. But they also have them in case all hell breaks loose. Like this guy running Canada. His decisions make me want to go out and buy some guns. I've never felt like that before.
Hunting, you can get it for sport shooting, you can take it to the range, no problem, as long as you go through our rigorous background checks. But there's a difference around the culture, and one of the things that we're seeing with the...
And if the background checks are so rigorous, why are you punishing the gun owner? There's a freeze on the handgun. You guys aren't the problem. But we're going to do this anyways? Does that make any sense to you? It's already difficult. I'm not allowed to take a handgun and just drive around town with it and carry it. It's got to go from point A to point B. I got to fill out a bunch of paperwork, even if I want to take a handgun to go shooting at a range. People like me, those people shouldn't be punished. Every crime that's involved with guns, it's a bad guy doing it, not a good guy. Bad people who aren't allowed to have the guns.
Time I had this.
Anyways, really good interview, guys. You're knocking it out of the park. Now, this leads into what I wanted to talk about today. He came out with this legislation and presented this legislation after what happened in America at the school shooting. April 2020, there was a mass shooting in Canada, okay? 22 people were killed. Guess what Trudeau wanted to do? He wanted to use that as an example to bolster his gun legislation idea. He wanted to interfere with a mass shooting investigation to get his political point across. You got to hear this. You got to hear this, okay? And what I'm about to say is, it's just my opinion, okay? Maybe I'm wrong. I might be wrong. It's just my opinion. We hear one side. So far, we've only heard one side. And this came out yesterday or today. A bunch of people emailed me this. I'd already seen it. And I knew I was going to talk about it. But it says RCMP Commissioner Brenda Lucki tried to jeopardize mass murder investigation to advance Trudeau's gun control efforts. And when I first read that, I was like, don't you mean Trudeau tried to jeopardize mass murder investigation to advance Trudeau's gun control efforts? Because that's really who the RCMP Commissioner is. It's not Lucki. It's Trudeau. What I'm about to read, I found incredible. Disturbing. Creepy. This is completely creepy. You got to hear the creepy part. If it's true, it's creepy. Wortman killed 22 people. They find him at a gas station, a dog handler and an alert member, I believe. They find him at a gas station. They open fire. They kill Wortman. Wortman had 5 guns on him. Some of these guns, they came from America. A week after the murders, Lucki pressured RCMP in Nova Scotia to release the details of the weapons used by the killer. But RCMP commanders refused to release such details, saying doing so would threaten their investigation into the murders. That happened in April 2020. In May 2020, the Trudeau government's gun control objectives were spelled out in an order in council issued in May 2020. Bill C-21, which was tabled last month. But the concern in April 2020 was the extent to which politics threatened to interfere with a cross-border police investigation into how the killer managed to obtain and smuggle into Canada 4 illegal guns used to commit many of the 22 murders. The RCMP learned that this killer, Wortman, ended up getting one of his guns from a guy named Neil, okay? He also got 2 illegal handguns from another guy named Sean. But the cops who were doing the investigation on where did Wortman get the guns, they didn't have that information. They didn't know where Wortman got the guns. That's another investigation. They want to find how Wortman got his hands on these illegal guns. They didn't know in April 2020. In fact, after the murders, the media asked this cop, his name is Campbell, Superintendent Darren Campbell, they asked him, where did he get the guns? Where did Wortman get the guns? And Campbell said he couldn't get into the details because the investigation is still active and ongoing, except to confirm the gunman had several semi-automatic handguns. Now, it's important, and you guys might not understand this, but it's important that the police don't give all the details. If you're working on an investigation, you're trying to find who has the guns. There's a ton of reasons why you wouldn't want the media to know that. When somebody gets murdered, the police aren't going to give you the information on how the person was murdered. They want that information to come naturally. I'll give you an example. If I admitted to a murder and the police interview me and they ask me, okay, you're admitting to this murder. How was this person murdered? Well, I shot this person in the head. Well, the person didn't die by a gunshot. There were no gunshots. The person died by being drowned. There's a good reason. There's a good reason why police withhold important information. They don't want to wreck their investigation. It's much more effective if I say, yeah, I murdered him. How'd you kill him? I drowned him. Okay. And then what else happened? I covered him up in a duvet. Those are details that they don't want getting out into the public in case somebody actually, for example, admits to the murder. I'll give you another example, but it might be a little weak. What if a witness came? Police are doing an investigation where do you get the guns? And then a witness comes to the police station and says, I know how he got the guns. He got the guns because Sean told me that he gave Wortman 2 guns. Okay, what kind of guns were they? 9 mils, Smith & Wesson. Now that's pretty important information, isn't it? I mean, that might be enough to go and arrest. But if you have the same witness come and say that information after it's already been divulged to the media, it makes his statement less important, less relevant. Because only the police know the details of the firearms that Wortman has. Nobody else. So if you get somebody coming into the police station describing the firearms that Wortman has, the police are going to listen. And it's going to be more grounds for a search warrant and an arrest. And I'm probably missing the point, but there's a ton of reasons why police don't give you all the details. We had a murder in Port Alberni. Years later, this guy admits to the murder. How do we know he was telling the truth? Because he gave details of the crime scene. That's how. She was strangled. How did he kill her? What did he say? I strangled her. Important information. And they hid it. The police hid it from everybody. Hid the details of the crime. You have to. But you got to hear. So after Campbell tells the news, I can't tell you. I can't get into the details. It's an ongoing investigation. I can't tell you what kind of guns he had or used. This is what happens after. Shortly after the news conference, Campbell, Assistant Commander Lee Bergman, Chris Leather, I believe that's his first name, and Nova Scotia Communications Director Leah Scanlon were summoned to a meeting by the RCMP Commissioner Brenda Lucki. And guess what? Lucki wasn't happy. They have this meeting. You got to hear what happened in the meeting. This is the creepy part. And how do we know this happened? Because Campbell, Superintendent Darren Campbell, made notes right after the meeting describing what happened. This is what he says. The commissioner was obviously upset. She didn't raise her voice, but her voice of words was indicative of her overall dissatisfaction with our work. Could you imagine? Worst mass shooting in Canada. A week later, you have to have a meeting with the commissioner. And she's dissatisfied. That makes me cringe right there. Let's see why she's dissatisfied. The commissioner accused us, me, of disrespecting her by not following her instructions. I was and remain confused over this. The commissioner said she told comms. The commissioner said she told comms. I don't know who comms is, but I think it's Leah Scanlon. To tell us at H Division to include specific info about the firearms used by the killer. So according to this, the commissioner said, hey, I told Leah Scanlon to tell you guys that you need to mention to the media what firearms were used by the killer. However, Campbell said we couldn't, because to do so would jeopardize ongoing efforts to advance the U.S. side of the case as well as the Canadian components of the investigation. Campbell noted that Lucki went on at length and said she was sad and disappointed. That's what Lucki said. I'm sad and disappointed. You're disrespectful, and you've made me sad, and now I'm very disappointed. Think about those words after what those people just went through. And the hugest boss in the RCMP in Canada shits all over you. She was sad and disappointed that he had not provided these details to the media. Now, why would she say that she's sad, even though he just told her that it would jeopardize the investigation? He says it's going to jeopardize the investigation. And she goes, I'm sad and I'm disappointed. Why would that make you sad and disappointed? You want to know why? The commissioner said she had promised the Minister of Public Safety and the Prime Minister's office that the RCMP would release this information. Campbell tried to explain there was no intent to disrespect anyone. However, we could not release this info at this time. The commissioner then said that you don't understand. This was tied to pending gun control legislation that would make officers and the public safer. She was very upset, and at one point, Deputy Commissioner Brennan tried to get things calmed down, but that had little effect. Some in the room were reduced to tears and emotional over this belittling reprimand. Brenda Lucki made people cry. Why? To save her credibility. She promised Trudeau and the Minister of Public Safety that she would get this information released. Brenda Lucki is more concerned about a promise that she has to break. She would rather jeopardize an investigation than break a stupid promise. And they apparently they talked forever in this meeting. And she wouldn't let up. You're disrespecting me. You're not obeying me. I'm sad. I'm disappointed. Even though Campbell gave her good reason, why not to do that? Why not to release that info to the media? She doesn't care. She only cares about herself. She went to great lengths to bully these people. Some people cried. I guarantee you one of them was Leah. What that girl has been through. She thinks about this every single day. There's not a day that goes by. Something stupid like she didn't get a tweet out on time. She's beating herself up over that. It's ridiculous. You can't beat yourself up over that. Somebody sent an email. She didn't read the email. Guys, will you stop sending emails? Pick up the phone and talk to people. Don't just email something expecting that they're going to read it right away. I'm not going to get into that part, but I guarantee you Leah was the one that was crying. She makes people cry Because now her credibility, Brenda Lucki's credibility, is going to be damaged. She wanted so much to go to Trudeau. Hey, Trudeau, I'm able to help you out, okay? With the gun legislation that you want to pass through, these are the guns he used. These are why we should ban these guns. Everybody will be behind you. Here are the details. She wanted instant gratification from Trudeau because that would give her pleasure. Honest to God. She didn't care about these guys. And that's what a lot of the RCMP bosses do. If they don't get their own way, they'll turn to bullying. These guys were bullied by Brenda Lucki. You're never getting bullying out of the RCMP, especially when your top dog is the biggest bully of all. RCMP members, you think your boss is Lucki? Yeah, that's not, your boss is Trudeau. She's a puppet. Always has been. She's done this before. She didn't want to get scolded by Trudeau again. Do you remember when she struggled with the definition of systemic racism? And then Trudeau came out and said, I think she needs to rethink that. What did she say a couple of days later?
Yes, there's absolutely systemic racism.
Yeah, all of a sudden, absolutely. She got scolded by Trudeau. This is your boss. Interferes, apparently, it looks like it, interferes with an investigation. Tries to make them change their mind by making them feel bad. I'm sad, I'm disappointed. You're disrespecting me. Throws that at them as a tactic to get them to change their mind. She doesn't care about those people. Who does she care about? I don't know. And I guarantee you, I'll put money on it. After those members, did she ever contact the ERT team? After Wortman was taken out? Did she ever ask the ERT team, how you doing? How you making out? You had a pretty tough few days there. Did she ever make the call? Made that call that day, right? Or maybe the next day? Guaranteed you she never made the call. But she's sure quick to jump on these people. Dissatisfied. That's what bosses do. Too many of them. Not all of them, but too many of them. And how do you think? Guaranteed this Leah girl has PTSD. After going through that, beats herself up over a silly reason, I think. I should have sent it out quicker. It's my fault. Maybe there'd still be people alive. No, it's not your fault. But of course you have PTSD. It's not just the trauma. The trauma is Brenda Lucki, too. That adds to it. She made people cry in there. What a leader. Reprimanded them for making sense. When there's a crime scene and we put tape up, police officers are instructed to stand at the crime scene. We take notes of who comes in and who enters. That's our job, okay? Only people that are allowed to cross the line have to do with the investigation. For example, if my boss, my inspector comes, Clint, I want to enter the crime scene. For what reason? I just want to look around. No, you can't. It's my job to say, even though he's an inspector, no, you can't come in. You're going to damage the scene. You're going to interrupt the scene. There's no reason for you to come in. Brenda Lucki crossed the line for personal gain. People get fired for that. She was willing to damage their investigation. It's incredible. To look good. She helped out her boss. She wanted gratitude, fulfillment, pleasure, instantly. 22 people were murdered, but she's sad because Campbell wouldn't tell the media what kind of guns were used. That's why she's sad and disappointed. Not that 22 people were murdered. Campbell, how dare you make Brenda Lucki feels sad. Nutty. It's completely nutty. She's sad because she has to break a promise now. Sad she's going to look weak in front of her boss. I'm going to get in trouble again. I don't care about your investigation. My credibility is on the line, Campbell. You've disappointed me. You've made me sad. Yes. Is there tears? Do I hear crying? Good. Have you changed your mind? Damn it. You don't get more political than this. She wanted to help Trudeau push this gun legislation through. That'll just add to his argument. Need to tell the public, get it out in the media. What guns were used? Assault military style, right? I'm going to tell you that you've disrespected me. You disobeyed me. You made me sad and disappointed. I'm going to bully you. So you'll change your mind. What length will we go to? Making somebody feel bad for political gain. There's nobody worse. There's nobody worse. She's helping the Liberal government to stay in power. That's what she was trying to do. I don't know, guys. Reading this just brought back memories. It brought back memories. You know, her using those words, I'm sad and disappointed. This group of people went through the most traumatic experience of their entire lives, and then you have a boss. No kudos given to them. Instead, it's the opposite. They beat you down sometimes. They don't care. There's no compassion. Even with the RCMP top dog. There really isn't. I've seen it happen too many times in my career. I had a boss say to me how disappointed he was in me over something ridiculous. Something out of my control. I didn't do anything wrong, if you can believe it. But those words will never leave my mind. And to unjustly say that to somebody, to damage them more, that just burns me right up. That gets me going. That's why I brought this up. It's how Brenda Lucki treated these people in that meeting after the worst experience they just went through. And then doesn't even listen to common sense. Just worried about her back. It looks like Brenda Lucki had a conversation with this minister or Trudeau. And she promised them, I'll get that info you need. I'll reprimand, belittle if I have to. I'll get it out of them for you, boss. Because you're a puppet. A sicko. A complete sicko. Well, she's going to get a handle on bullying, all right. See, no other news outlet is going to talk about bullying. But that's what I see when I read this. How dare you treat them like that? Make them feel that way. And damage, add to damage. You're damaging their brain. I know, hey, oh, Clint, you're kind of taking a little bit too far. Am I? Am I? Like when Leah thinks about this incident that happened in April, she's also thinking about Brenda Lucki. It adds to it. Knocking on you, hitting at your head. There were tears in the room. Who was crying? I bet you it wasn't Brenda Lucki. At first I thought, well, she'd be the only one crying. I could see her crying over this. Not getting her own way. Gonna get in trouble from Trudy. Dumb. How dumb can you be? I know people are just human, but you can't make that kind of mistake. I know I just keep on talking about it, but I can't help it. You can't. I was a boss for a lot of years. I never sat down and told somebody how disappointed I was in them. You're just disrespecting me. You're not obeying me. You're not obeying my order. You've made me sad and disappointed in you. I mean, Campbell came out and said she was upset. Clearly upset. What are you upset about? It's a weird thing to get upset about. I don't know. Needs to be an investigation now. How did Trudeau interfere? Did Trudeau interfere? According to Campbell, Lucki said to him, I promised Trudeau and the minister of whatever, Blair or something, that I would get the answer. Why would they have that conversation? What do you need the answer for? To push Trudeau's agenda on guns. We don't care about the investigation that you're doing, police. And, something I forgot. The commissioner said, you don't understand. This is tied to pending gun control legislation that would make officers and the public safer. How does that legislation that make officers, how does that make the public safer? I'm just curious. Because I don't feel safer. Less good people have guns now. The same amount and more bad guys are going to have the guns. That makes it safer? What a liberal. The world is, I can't believe the people that are running Canada. And that's why Trudeau hired Lucki. So we could turn her into a puppet, a walking, talking puppet. So he can control her. Anyways. God. Let's take some calls. I can't wait to see the investigation. I can't wait to see it. And you know what's silly? Maybe I'm getting upset. Maybe that's only really one side, right? We don't know the other sides yet. But it's gonna be something to hear. What comes out of this? Because what do you do? What do you do with that? You have a cop that's willing to jeopardize an investigation over a promise that you made with somebody for personal gain, gratification. Kudos. Good job, Lucki. That's what she wanted. Not a big deal? Yeah, it's a big deal. It's a big deal on how she made those people feel. That's the biggest deal to me.
Hey, Clinton calling. Soon to be long-time listener. Love your show. Had a question for you.
Soon to be long-time listener. Love the show. Thanks, dude. Thanks for calling. I think you said your name was Sebastian. I don't know.
I know it's always up to the own individual to make their own decisions and whatnot, but currently I have over 25 years in the military, 3 trades within the military, which is nice. I could swap back and forth into different things that I enjoyed. Now, being at the point I am, being 42, I'm finally at a position where I'm not really doing my job. It's more administrative, so I'm fairly high up now. Looking at possibly going into policing, I'm just wondering if you think 42 is ideal to move into a second career as policing. Right now I'm currently fit and still able to do the job military-wise and would be able to do policing-wise, but I'm just wondering if it'd be something that you would recommend. Thanks.
You're welcome. Thanks for the call, dude. It's quite possible that this is the best way to do it. Really, if you think about it, most people become cops young in life. But why not become a police officer later in life after you've done a bunch of things? It's the same old thing like when people have kids. Let's have fun while we're young, and then when we're older, we'll have kids. You've already done your career. You got a pension. You could have 2 pensions. I worked with a guy from the military, and I think he had 2 pensions. Military and RCMP, which is a great way to go. You've done your job. You got nothing to lose. Like, why wouldn't? You're only 42. That's nothing. You could be 63 and retired with a pension. Or you could quit after 5 years, 10 years. This is why you do it. Because the experience of going to depot is amazing. When I finished depot, I couldn't understand why people were saying to me, like cadets were saying to me, oh, I'm going to really miss this place. And I'm like, you're weird. How can you miss this place? But now that I'm older and I'm retired, I miss it. I wish I could do it over. So yeah, just go. I know I'm not supposed to say this, but just go for the experience at depot. It was the best part of my life. Graduating, from depot. There's 2 careers, depot and then your policing career. And the best part was depot, because I made it through it. And it felt good. It felt good to get a real badge. And I honestly think 42 is a good age. You know, apply now, get in at 43. There's no polygraph anymore. There's no test. Perfect opportunity. You're fit. That's one less thing to worry about, right? And you said that you're not even doing your job anymore. So yeah, go out and do something else. Absolutely. I wouldn't even wait. I wouldn't even hesitate. And hopefully when you graduate, you'll have a new commissioner.
Good morning, Mr. Jaws. Just a follow-up on my call yesterday. I asked about stuff to take and not to take and stuff that you wish you had left at home and whatnot yesterday. One thing I forgot to add was just some stuff that they give you. I remember in one of your videos you said that you had a wallet from Depot. You were there 20-some years ago. I was just wondering, like, what is some stuff that they give you, and some cool stuff that you get. Like, I don't know if you had bought that wallet there, or you got given it, or so just some extra stuff that they give you, and that just probably makes it a little easier to know what to take and what not to take, and that type of stuff. But yeah, I hope to hear from you soon, and thank you very much for your video. Thank you, sir. Bye.
You're welcome, matey. He's from Australia. He's called before. He sounds like a good guy. I'll do a video. I'll do a video on what to bring to depot, okay? You don't have to bring a whole lot, to tell you the truth. And yes, I got this wallet at depot. And what I love about it, back in the day what I loved about it was that I would go to the Cactus Club, and I know I've already said this, but when I went to pay at the Cactus Club, because I was so proud that I was a police officer, I would go to get my bank card, and yeah, I am. I'm a police officer. That's how proud I was. Love this wallet. I love it when you get pulled over and you got to look for your driver's license. Yeah, I used to be a police officer. You know what I'm saying? Okay, don't do that. I'm not saying do that. But it's not my fault if he sees it. And yeah, I had to purchase this. When they give you your badge, it's in a little tiny wallet that you don't want to use. So you take it out of that wallet and you put it into a real wallet. And you get these at depot. Thanks for your call.
Hey, Clint. Hope you're doing well, man. My name's Owen.
Owen! I used to work with Owen. I won't tell that story. Thanks for calling, dude. Owen.
20 years old. I just got the news today that I actually was deferred for 3 years for RCMP process, whatnot, after my RMAQ. So, I just wanted to hear your opinion on it. If that was just, get back to me or put in a video or whatnot. But yeah, basically got
3 years deferred regular member application questionnaire. That's what a lot of people got deferred. I used to work on that questionnaire in recruiting, and I had to defer a lot of people, not because I wanted to.
Got deferred for 3 years. For RMAQ, talking about, at work, I told them that I leave early sometimes. Sometimes I half-ass the things that, the tasks at work and whatnot. Just texting and driving was one of them as well. It's just some stuff that was stacked up on top of each other, and really, really frustrating. I've never drinking and drove. In my opinion, I think I'm the ideal candidate to be a cadet at depot, right? Everything that I do in my daily life, I think about, will this affect my file, or, how will this affect me getting into policing? It's pretty heartbreaking news, still kind of trying to process it. 3 years is a long time, but I'm in the process for my municipal police here, Halifax Regional Police. So we'll see how that process goes. And it just doesn't really make sense to me. Like I said, still trying to process, but I'd love to hear your opinion on it. It's just heartbreaking. It's, been a few months, and my second time applying, I failed the AirPat the first time, and I think it's crazy, just the fact that I'm a square for the most part. I don't do anything. Most I've ever done is smoke weed. Like I said, I barely drink. I've been kind of setting myself up for this for years. But this is heartbreaking news, and just wanted to get your opinion on it. Thanks, Clint. Love your videos. Keep it up. Just want to say thank you.
Okay. I don't know why you got deferred, but those reasons don't make any sense that you get deferred for 3 years. When I deferred people for 3 years, it was because they committed a criminal act. Maybe they stole something at Walmart. Deferred for 3 years. You said you leave early from work. I don't know. Maybe you got a weirdo that was reviewing your questionnaire. Maybe they're looking at that as some kind of internal theft kind of thing. Well, you're stealing from the company. That's the only thing I could come up with, but these reasons... Texting and driving, no, you're not going to get deferred for 3 years. I wouldn't do that. Did you know there's a way to appeal? And I don't know how that was, because when I was in recruiting, there was a cadet that appealed the decision, and it went to a board. I don't know if they still have that. I don't know, dude. I don't know. It was only when I deferred people for 3 years, it was only because they committed so for example, let's say marijuana is still illegal. Hey, when did you do marijuana? Yesterday. Okay, you're deferred for 3 years. Stuff like that. Oh, you were drinking and driving yesterday? Okay, well, 3 years deferred. Leaving early, I don't think that's solid enough. You said you're 20, but you're heartbroken. I wouldn't be heartbroken at 20. I would look at this as a good thing. I really would. Man, you're so young. I think it's better to be 23 and going to depot, or 24 and going to depot. You'll see what I mean if you make it. And it sounds like you're going to stick with it. And it sounds like you're going to make it. But I wouldn't necessarily see it as a bad thing. That's my opinion of it. I think it's silly. For the reasons you give me. So many people. And I'm not saying this is your case, okay? But there's so many people I remember people come up to me and like when I was a cop and they'll be like, yeah, I didn't, you know what? I got deferred. They gonged me. And then they'll tell me the reason why they were gonged and I'll be like, that's not the reason, okay? People don't really want to tell you the real reason. But I'm not saying that you did this here. I don't even know why I brought that up. But Owen, stay in there, man. Don't be heartbroken. Be happy. You'll get in.
Hey, Clint. City Cop Jason here. I just wanted to start.
City Cop Jason, you know what? I've said this before. You need to get a YouTube channel and name it City Cop Jason.
This out by saying shout out to LaTank. I just saw your episode where you talked about him and his MS and the whole coffee thing. What an absolute inspiration that dude is. And the fact that he's still on the job and he's got the second thing going with the coffee and raising funds. That is absolutely awesome. I'll be looking to get some myself. On that note, just wondering, I know you are retired, and I think I'm approaching that way myself. And I'm just wondering whether you had thought yourself about side gig in your retirement. I know you're doing the podcast thing and all that other stuff, but curious if people are throwing, or family members are throwing different ideas at you for different side jobs or other jobs that you could be doing, or if you're just enjoying retirement as it is. Just really curious if you would be interested in something police oriented, or if you're happy to leave that behind, or if you're looking at something like coffee or, you know, you name it. I'd just be curious your thoughts on that. Love the show as always. Thanks. Bye.
Thanks for your call. I like doing what I'm doing, and no, I don't want to get a job. I remember after I retired, my dad called me up and said, hey, they need a city manager of some sort down at the police station I just retired from. And I'm like, Dad, why would I do that? Make a quarter of the wage that I was making? You know what I mean? No, thank you. No, but I did think about it. I did think about going and doing something else, and then I realized, no. Hey, man, I'm going to leave another link in the description if you get this coffee. And it is cool what Latank is doing. That video that I showed you. Well, it's my last episode, guys. I talk about this guy. You should watch it if you haven't seen it. This police officer who has MS developed his own coffee brand. And the proceeds, if you buy it, they go to help somebody out. And I started thinking. And I probably shouldn't say this. I was laying in bed thinking about this. These cops are so cheap. I know a lot of, nobody probably has, not too many people have purchased this coffee, which they shouldn't. Why wouldn't you? Then I started going down the wormhole of, what about the police stations? All Canadian police stations should have this coffee. Did you know every police station, they buy coffee? It's usually Nabob. Why would you buy Nabob when you could buy this? A police officer created it, basically. Came up with the idea. Now, Latank, I don't know what police station he came from, but does that police station have this coffee in the police station? Why do we have coffee at police stations? We serve coffee to bad guys, to inmates. Now, I would hope that the police station he worked for has ordered this coffee, because it would be pretty weird if you hadn't. And how cool would that be? Serving this coffee to inmates. They're drinking the coffee, and at the same time, they're helping out police and people who suffer from diseases. But you just know, right? Well, I can't go down. That's not a hill I'm going to die on, Clint. Okay, people consider this, maybe they consider it racist coffee. Somebody would complain, right? An inmate would complain. That's why they're probably not doing it. Well, we didn't know the coffee came from another police officer. We're not drinking that. There'd be a big to-do. It'd be in the media. It'd be everywhere. Inmates forced to drink racist coffee. But really, I was laying in bed. I started getting angry. I started getting angry at all the police stations who don't serve this when you should be. Like, why wouldn't you do that? Why wouldn't you really get behind something this good? And I know I don't know the answer, but if his police station doesn't serve it, I don't know, you're screwballs. You're an absolute screwball, whoever is running that place. And I don't know why I jumped to that conclusion. Maybe they are. But I jumped to that conclusion because there's just not enough compassion in police forces. And that's just another example that I made up in my head. If they haven't purchased it, then you should be ashamed of yourself. How about that? That's what I think. It's funny, you're not allowed, right? Some police stations have a coffee fund where they, if you're part of the coffee fund, you can go and pour yourself a cup of coffee. But if you're not if you're not paying monthly, you're not allowed to do it. You know how many members have gotten in trouble by going back to cells and pouring themselves a little cup of coffee? Every police station I went to, somebody was getting in trouble for pouring themselves a cup of inmate coffee. The things that you get in trouble for. It's like everything. Every little thing. Ooh. I left my taser on my in my office, right on the table, by accident. I went out to my car to grab something. Oh my God. Of course, a giant, Huge email had to go out to everybody in the detachment, showing how stupid I was, making an example out of me. Why wouldn't you just come to me? Really? It's a taser. No, somebody could come in from the outside, go into your office, take that taser, and start tasering people. Shut up. The amount of things that you get in trouble for. I should do a video on that. You're taking too many notebooks. The batteries. Stop using all the batteries. It's so dumb. Oh, was that the last call? I think so. I've been down here for, I don't know, a couple hours. Thanks for watching. And subscribe. I'm getting over the vid, guys, okay? So I'll be better next time. Bye-bye.